kind of like an ecological framework for how
Okay.
to design and maintain land and
Okay.
how humans can interact with land in a more reciprocal way.
Okay.
And so we're kind of a demonstration site for that work. And then we're also at a retreat center.
Okay.
For
So you have taken some
kinds of
professional
things.
education for this, or how do you work?
Yeah, so I studied in undergrad, I studied political economy,
Okay.
actually, political
Oh,
science and economics.
very nice.
And then I've kind of in my sort of second career, I've been studying permaculture and permaculture design.
Okay.
And yeah, now I work I'm the office manager here, so
Okay.
a lot of operations and
So you have ever been to India?
no.
Because I come from, you know about ISKCON?
Ishkan.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
International Center for the Krishna Consciousness.
Mm.
You're aware about that?
Yes, now that
Yeah.
you say that.
Yeah. So I am also connected with the ISKCON's Govardhan Eco Village,
Oh, wow.
which is there in India. Have you ever heard about it?
I don't know, but it
You
sounds awesome.
you should go to the
Yes.
thing of their website
I would
and
love
check.
to get that
Because
information from you.
yeah, that is the only eco village across the globe which has got a complete concept of sustainable village.
Wow. That's
It's in a
super
very
amazing.
remote area, but all across the globe people come
Wow.
to see that because it is also awarded by UNWTO.
Yeah. Where
Yes.
is it in India?
It is in near to Mumbai.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
airport will be Mumbai only.
Okay.
But the district is called Palghar
Okay.
and the area is called as Hamrapur.
Hamrapo.
That's a village.
Yes. Okay, I've heard of that.
Galtare, Hamrapur.
Cool.
So yes, so
Wow.
there this village is there.
Amazing.
You must see that.
Yeah, I'm going to write it down.
Yeah.
My phone.
So here, retreat centers, what all is there? What exactly how this is designed and what all is there in this place? This center?
Yeah. So it's designed to be kind of co-managed by a 501c3 organization,
Okay.
nonprofit organization,
Okay.
and then an intentional community that also owns
Okay.
and co-manages the land.
Okay.
So we're sort of two organizations that are layered on top, and we do
What is the two
a lot of different
organizations?
things. It's the Occidental Arts and Ecology Center,
Okay.
and then the intentional community is called Sewing Circle.
Okay. Sewing circle.
And they were co-founded at the same time
Okay.
by the same folks.
Which year this was created?
1994.
1994. Okay. So what are the different kind of facilities and services which are there here?
Yeah, so we do permaculture design courses. We teach courses and have folks here. We have our retreat center, which is focused mainly on social and environmental justice organizations.
Okay.
And then we have what we call the Water Institute, which is what Brock is running and managing.
Okay.
And they do a lot of work in water conservation and
Okay.
education and policy in California.
Okay.
And
So it's like a certificate and diploma course, or how do you give that?
the permaculture course is, yes, and that's just kind of one of the arms of the organization. And then these other programs we have, like the Water Institute and that kind of thing, are working either in policy or we're doing a lot of collaboration work and kind of building alliances of other movement organizations.
So what kind of eligibility do you put? Like what kind of eligibility? Like what kind of a student or participant can?
Can attend the course.
Yeah.
Yeah, so most of our courses are fairly open. It's since that's kind of just one aspect of what we do, our project. It's a 2-week course.
Okay.
So it's really kind of it's an introductory course to this concept of permaculture to try and help folks understand kind of the basics of that framework. So we'll have a lot of students, a lot of grad students. We'll have a lot of land tenders or land stewards who want to learn how to manage the land that they are holding better. And then we also have folks who are interested in actually pursuing permaculture and design as a profession. and they'll come and start to learn about the programs in that way.
And in retreat, what all you provide?
For the retreats, yeah. So for retreats, we primarily work as a entity that that is hosting. So organizations will come for strategy meetings or planning meetings for their own organizations. At times, we'll facilitate those meetings, but often we are more bringing organizations together, and then they are kind of conducting their own agendas. Yeah. I'm going to go and see if we can check in with
Yes,
folks
please.
inside.
Yes, please. Yeah.
And just make sure everyone's settled.
And in various ecological systems, there are people who are working on various biodiversity hotspots. So you might be networking with them and you kind of,
we're not so formal
right.
with the hotspot networking, but so I'm a biologist first,
Right.
which is why you have to do water, because
Yeah.
no water, no life.
No life.
So to be someone who studies life, you have to study water, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
That makes
Bios,
sense,
yeah.
right? Or
Unless
then
they
we have
study
dead
life, they
systems.
cannot design systems. Right.
Engineering and things.
Yes, yes.
All right, Zach, you're here.
When is Anya available?
Narayan. Narayan.
मजा नहीं आया भाई नीर नारी नदी याद नहीं लगा मैं अकेला बोल रहा हूँ तुम इतने सारे भी नहीं बोल रहे यार एक बार जरा जान लगा
My voice is louder than all.
So, एक बार मेरी वॉइस से ज्यादा वॉइस आपकी होनी चाहिए नीर नारी नदी
Narayan. Narayan.
So that's
So you are with Zach for since a long time, or how is it?
no. We started getting trained maybe last year, the year before, when in his first training
Okay.
session.
Okay. So he takes that course. So you have joined that course also.
Right. So
Okay.
Aaron and I joined that course in the
Okay.
first group,
Okay.
and
People fire to call out new ideas that might actually really be moving us in a positive direction, but maybe we're unsure exactly the positive direction. So we're got to try some stuff out, figure out how it's going to work out. And while those things are happening, a lot of the young people that have these ideas or want to implement some of these things end up without a job or without community support or family support, and that makes it very difficult to get into a position where you can implement any sort of change. And on the other side of that, you've got the entrenched powers that be consolidating their power and their own community into what works for them. And as we've seen, what works for them doesn't really end up working for a lot of the community. So it's a massive issue.
Good. Yes.
Which is, I studied with this man who was a quantum physicist, and then he became a monk. And then he started this thing called heart virtues. And so he said the heart virtues, he did it for all the world, and he does it for these people. The heart virtues for the United States is independence and privacy, but it wasn't like that in the 1800s, 1850s. It was extended family, even if there was people that worked for the family, they were part of the family. But in the 1950s,
unwillingness of sort of funded watershed communities to try things means that a project that I could do for myself for $1,000 in 3 days becomes 6 months and $50,000. And so, what do you do when? Well, the other piece of it too is that for me, the community is also the natural world. But our community is so human focused and human needs focused. I'm stuck.
Yes. Yes.
Just coming out of university, something that I noticed is our attitude in America is that we've got this really big problem, and so we're going to need a big solution. Like climate change is so huge that we need all these smart people and these big minds and these scientists that are going to find the big solution. And we forget that the only solution is real people doing real things on the land. And so one really working together. And one really heartbreaking thing for me being at the university is seeing, people going into this program thinking, I'm gonna save the planet. I'm gonna do these good things with my degree, building LEED green certified buildings for, all of these things that say, this is a green building, this is eco building. And they're still designing communities. They're doing, I'm going to design a community, and everybody has a private fence back here. They don't understand. And nobody's doing water design, It's just, where's your rain catchment? People don't understand that climate change is an issue about water. I think focusing that and people understanding what the real problem is not carbon, it's not just our buildings, it's how we treat water. And all of the climate models, they said water is neutral, we have no effect. They're completely blind. And right across the street from the architecture department right now, one of the big bad corporations that gives lots of money to the university just plowed down 40 trees, old fruit trees, 100-year-old trees, soil that's been there and cultivated for 50 years, just as a staging ground for the new science building, the science building that's going to solve the climate problem. And I'm like, you just paved over the top of it.
The city got their tax dollars.
We need those bandits to come and take care of these things.
It's insanity. Like, this is your climate solution right here in the soil, and you're just paving over it for $1 billion science building that's being funded by very corrupt corporations. So, yeah, it's people. We all need to move together.
I want to say, piggyback on what you were saying about your community as nature. What I've noticed doing this work, I live in Oregon, California, Southern Oregon, there's a few communities, there's up to 80% that don't really care about anything, just go about their lives, go to work and come home. Don't have any awareness of it at all, other than what they see on the news, and in the news it's mostly fear. They don't care about it because it scares them, so they don't want to think about it. There's the 5% that are land managers and farmers of the older generation that are so entrenched in extractive, unsuitable ways and unwilling to change. Someone else mentioned unwilling to want to change and unwilling to see the flaws in the system they're doing. There's the 5%. There's the 2% of people that are really interested in protecting nature and do a lot of work about protecting rivers and protecting watershed and protecting salmon, but also it's a separate thing. So it's still conserving nature. Like, we can't touch it, but let's conserve it. And then there's like the 1% that are like, wait, or less than 1%, like, wait, like, we are part of nature, we're not separated. Conserving salmon is also conserving us. We need to do both. We can't only be more focused on salmon or only focus on us. And I feel like I'm in that little tiny percentage. And it's difficult and challenging because I feel like I'm going up against lots of people that think they're doing lots of really good, and they are, but they're still only seeing part of the picture.
Inside, that's always exciting. So all the houses There's 5 houses here and a yurt, 2 houses. My house, that's me. This is my front yard. So I'm right there, kitchen. There's about a 1/4 acre of gardens there, another acre of gardens and orchards there, another 1/2 acre of gardens and orchards here, and food forest and landscape. So this is kind of the main village for 25 people, all the homes. And then when we go with the group now, you'll walk from here through the main garden out to this road outside the gate, and then we'll go up the road to the pond. And there's the water body.
I did it yesterday.
And it kind of fills from these meadows when it rains. And then it spills that way.
We'll ponder the pond, as you said.
And that elevation from there to here is 100 feet. So it's a rain-fed water body. It's a glorified johad with the C shape, just like you said, because this is a slope. So he's got the C. This is the dam wall. That's the cut bank. You guys will see it. And then it gravity feeds down, and the whole farm is irrigated from that with gravity.
Through what, pipes?
Year-long pipes. Year-long supply from Nepal.
Yeah, but right now we're not irrigating. Only when it's in the dry season, because when the winter. So it's a summer irrigation pump. Are we ready?
Yeah.
And I can understand most of it. Smile.
Everybody says me that only, smile. Because always I may be very serious.
All right. I just wanted to give you a little context about. So OAC is an 80-acre property. We're in the first kind of southern third of the land. We're going to walk through the middle here, and then we're going to go back up to the sort of northwest corner where our water body is, the pond. And the agenda will get to talk about that. It'll be fun to see what he thinks. But just to say, as you wander through, this, for instance, this pear tree. I don't know if anyone had the pear blossoms, but that was planted in 1880, right? So 140-year-old. It's the only individual, this one and up there, of a variety in the United States. If you've got a pear called a Mirjone, the scion wood came from this tree in the entire country. It's super rare. Very early. Pear trees blooming in end of March is unusual. And then as you walk through the gardens, this big garden you're going to go through is the North Garden. It's an acre. It's a bio-intensive garden based on the Alan Chadwick double digging method. It's the first generation Alan Chadwick gardens out of UC Santa Cruz. Back in 1974, the gardens were put in. They are CCOF, California Certified Organic Farmers, certified. It's the 6th oldest certified farm in California, which kind of means the nation. And it's a big seed-saving garden. Actually, that 1 acre and a 1/2 acre on the south side are under conservation easement with Sonoma Land Trust to remain certified organic in perpetuity, and they can never be built on, which was in 1994 when 7 of us bought the property in the intentional community called Sowing Circle. That was a condition of the sale. So it's the nation's first organic easement that requires certified organic management. It's all hand dug, no mechanical tillage, super organic powder birds. Orchards around there, and then the surrounding native forest. So you all cruise through there. I'm going to meet you on the other side, out the other gate on the pond road, and then I'll follow you in the little cart as we walk up to the pond, and we can get to the pond. And Rajendra and Ethan and Zach will narrate as you see things. I want to hear what you're seeing and what you're seeing as you wander. But then I'll see you guys up at the pond. Any logistic things? Huh? I mean, it's sovereign with respect. We're in the southern Pomo Coast Miwok tribal territory, but it's privately owned sovereign land by an LLC called Sowing Circle. So, yeah. Both and.
The whole state.
All right.
I was wondering if you could just maybe say a bit about Alan Chadwick for people that don't know who he was and his effect on the overall organic movement.
Sure. Real quick. So Alan Chadwick was like a Shakespearean thespian scholar out of England, showed up in the U.S. in late 60s, 66, 7, started a gardening program at UC Santa Cruz in 1967, co-create or crafted this gardening technique called biointensive. So the French intensive method, the biodynamic method, hybridized those into a specific gardening technique. It's a very intensive method, known deep cultivation, double digging. It's a whole set of practices. The work of John Jevons and how to grow more vegetables than you thought was possible in less space than possible, blah, 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 is kind of the Bible of the methodology based on Alan Chadwick's work. And some of his early students at Santa Cruz started this garden when this place was known as the Farallons Institute in 1974 to 1990. And it was a Peace Corps training center, biointensive training facility, or a organic farm, alternative energy, appropriate technology center. State architect of California, Sim Banderen, was a founder. California had an Office of Appropriate Technology. The state built 5 passive solar heated and cooled homes on the property for demonstration, research, studying. So it's a lot of long history on the property. The pond we're going to, the siting of the pond and the assessment and building of it was done with Bill Mollison, the co-founder of permaculture design, back in 1977, 78. So this place is a bit of a museum in that regard. Wow. But without further ado, Dr. Rajendra Singh, give it up, people!
Agenda for you. We not set. You set your agenda himself, why you are working here, and what you see, and what you understand. So everyone can set your agenda for this walk. Okay? We are not set the agenda for you. But you know that every walk with agenda. So your agenda, your work in our mind set some agenda. But we are not telling you now. You go and walk.
Yeah, of course.
I did it on purpose. So I have meaningful experiences. That's my background. And then I go to
It's so important.
stories
And it
of
is
yeah.
telling the story. People just
Yes, and these things are just really inspiring. Healing, regeneration, and part of my own healing. Growing hope.
Right.
And I wanted other people to feel that too.
Yep. Yep.
So that's
yeah.
yeah. We need to tell new stories.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yep.
So what do you do now?
What do you think? Did you like it?
Yeah, very nice.
Feel the life?
Composting.
Those are my friends.
You have some of these at home?
I do. I have lots of, I do a lot of worm composting. I'm in a...
So good. Doing a lot of things.
Somebody can go to your website and find out.
And I can listen from you.
There you go.
Yes.
Oh, this is the North American fever and the Indian.
Gravity is how the water is flowing from height, and this is how water is going to the pond side. We are going now. You can see it's written here.
Well, here we had a because there's little orchids that grow around if you look in the forest right now. Alrighty, probably not intending to talk too much because I know we want to just get up to the pond, but if you look at this map, and when I show it to folks at some point, I just kind of look at the sides. I'm going to flip it over and put the pond this way. One thing to note about this property, where we are, again, we're there, you walk through the garden, we're at this blue line, creek, crossing the road. The headwaters of the watershed is around the corner. So this property is at the very tip top of the watershed. So all of the red lines are watershed divides, sub-watershed divides, and the blues are creeks. So you can see it goes down to the creek, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. It's got a lot of its own little tributaries, 11 sub-watersheds. So we're like the tips of the tree. And then the big trunk is down here, and the main Russian River is 7 miles away, like out to the ocean. Right in the fractal of the drainage, we're in the uplands, what are the first order watershed, or the class 3. These are ephemeral. If it doesn't rain for a few weeks, this creek will stop flowing, right here. So we're only moving water. So we're the upper watershed, just for context.
Salmon Creek?
Huh?
Salmon Creek?
This is a headwaters to Dutchville Creek, from Occidental through Camp Meeker to Monte Rio, where it meets the Russian River and then goes out to the ocean at Jenner.
Is this part of the area that was in that news clip?
No, that's below the pond, and depending on the time we get there, if people want to see that, we could.
Okay.
And this was a project you'll see we've been putting woody debris, material, all the rock structures. We actually put these little rock dams. This was a very deeply incised channel. It was eroding, it was dropping the water bed, it was doing everything you've been hearing about. It was dehydrating the landscape. This little floodplain that used to be here before the logging, it was disconnected. So we've been building the channel up, and we dig these little dishes, and we actually have been flooding. You can see the water. So this is a floodplain reconnection project, sediment level. And the gravel holds that water. And then it leaks late, and downstream is a pool, and that stays perennial year-round for little frogs and wildlife to drink of. It's a small thing, but everywhere else is dry. So this is a sediment trap to clean water for the salmon downstream, but it's also groundwater recharge to supplement the flow for a wildlife, like a wildlife guzzler drinking water habitat as a small project.
So Brock, you put the rock armor underneath with the gravel?
The gravel aggrades once you put the dam in. So we just put channel spanning rock dams.
And it's just collected rock around.
And then the soil, just what Virginia just said, we put the rock dams in, then the soil collects and settles behind, and the channel comes up. And so then it's a set of stairs.
Did this come over the road in the recent storms?
It did, because we had a blowout of a bunch of material, and everything here was plugging the culvert, and it blew out. We got 6 atmospheric rivers in a row around that Christmas, New Year's.
Yeah.
Woo! it was on.
Rob, how long have you been working here on the property? You said 20?
30 years.
30 years? Has this channel, has it been like this shape this whole time, or is it something that's changed?
It was that shape, but it was in size. It was a big, deep channel.
It wasn't just a straight channel.
No, it had that little curve.
It had the
in it.
meanders already.
But you can see the legacy of the curves of the historic channel before the logging. This was a sinuous, meandering, slow, wide, wetland seep channel, I bet. Before everything as you walk up there, this entire property is clear cut by the 1880s. It's clear cut in the 1920s. It's clear cut in the 50s. Everything you're about to walk through has been cut over 3 full times.
Including these trees here,
These are all California Bay with multiple crowns. They were cut for firewood, for coppicing on 20-year rotations for 130 years. Everything here is second and third growth.
Brock, what are the trees that, you have a few little fences here around some trees?
We're just planting some native plants to establish them. We're trying to keep the deer off them to give them a head start.
Is this an extra catchment channel or is that a road?
That's a legacy haul road from the logging days. Yeah. So when we first moved here, this was completely full of trees, dead brush, invasive blackberry, poison oak. From here to there, you couldn't see 20 feet into this, and you couldn't crawl back there on your hands and knees. So that fewer trees, more forest, limbing and thinning, and then what do we do with the organic matter, and how do we take the fire fears and connect them with our water woes with these fuels to flows? And what is that nexus of that relationship? Elemental relationship. Earth, air, fire, water create conditions conducive for life, right?
Take your fire fears and turn them into your water. What?
All right. I think 25 years of work, baby.
Well, what was the practice for? Was just continually cutting it?
Pulling it? Yeah.
Gnarly. Huh? All of the above. Yeah.
Same with the poison oak?
Poison, I don't get poison oak, so yeah. Get after it. Let's get after it.
It's doable.
I don't know. He just took off. Yeah. She's
Yeah. What's going on with the place now? Yeah. I'm scared it's somebody else. Yeah. They own it? I don't know if it's well, I hope she's doing good. Oh, new iteration of life.
Yeah.
The beginning of March, I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm done with the snow. I gotta just need a little break. I'm not excited for that. It just gets a little too hot for me. I agree. We are up in more. Yeah, exactly. It's very iteration.
स्टोरेज टैंक्स भी बड़े बड़े बना करके समर के लिए ओके
Occidental property, but Occidental's been stomping grounds. Yeah, it's a cool town. Yeah.
April, kind of spread out in here a little bit more, make room for the folks still coming up.
Good. Nice. Did you get some good lunch? Yeah.
ये ऊपर के लोटस का है कि क्या है?
Yeah. Yeah.
Lotus.
Yeah, multiple colors. In the summer, it's beautiful to swim in here. Yeah.
You also did their course? You did their course?
Yeah, many years ago, maybe 10
Okay.
years ago. When I
Okay.
did the course, I camped right here, and I'd swim in there every morning, and then run
Okay.
down to class.
Nice.
Fun. Yeah.
You guys need food?
Tonight.
Today's 5 o'clock. You're gonna need a good hat.
I
have. Okay.
Pond turtle. One's still sitting on the log over there. Should be listed as an endangered species. We're like a halfway house to them. Get a group photo on the
Excuse me.
It's a western.
Some bird.
See on the log over there. northwestern pond turtle.
How many people can be on that thing, bro?
Yeah, you could try it. Let's do it.
Balance it out.
Balance it out.
Do you see the turtle?
It won't
No,
sink for sure.
turtle
It
he
might
said,
take
no?
on-
Do you see
it'll-
the
it'll
rabbit?
start
Yes,
getting
yes,
strong.
Yeah, on
I've
the
had more
on the wood
people on
only,
it
na?
than this.
Okay.
On the wood?
That log that's
On
like
that log
sticking
only,
out.
na? Yeah, yeah, I could
Just
see.
like
I
right
see.
there.
Yeah, here, we can see here.
Yep,
See.
there he is.
Here, we can see the turtle.
677, which was a really intense drought. So at the end of that 2-year drought, there was no water for the farm, and so they dug this pond in 78. So this was put in 1978. It's just like Rajen just said, there's a slope here. We're high up in the landscape. So from that bench, what you all are standing on, you can see this slope, the flat, and that side, right? There's a little trapezoid here that runs all the way to the corner, past the canoe to the other side. So this is exactly, remember how he was doing the, right, the shapes? So this is the C shape of the dam wall. And then that side is the natural grade where it was excavated and compacted. It's about 25 feet deep, out where that little house is out there.
Oh.
That little house is floating a 3-inch pipe. Suspended on the end of the pipe is a submersible pump. Behind those trees is a photovoltaic panel. And so that runs when the sun shines. Right now, if you put your head in the water, you'll hear the pump. And it's just priming a siphon for a 3-inch line that comes over the dam wall just to get the air out. And then it's a gravity-fed pond. And the whole, when we irrigate in the dry season, this pond is 100% of the irrigation. We call this the Department of Home Water Security. You can ponder that pond for a while. I'll let you reflect on that one. So it's a naturally sealed pond. It's designed to hold water. It's not a recharge pond explicitly. So it's native clays, compacted and layered and done in, in that manner that you would do a proper pond sealing. And the spillway's in the far corner and wraps around below. So that's as far as just the what's what and the who.
How big is it exactly and how much water?
So right now, it being at full, from where Rajendra's standing to here is a little over 200 feet. So 200 by 200, 210 by 210. For anyone knows what an acre is, that's exactly an acre. 44,000 square feet of the surface area.
How deep is it?
So the first 12 inches is an acre foot of water. Everybody knows how many gallons is an acre foot off the top of your tongue, right? 325,851. Wow. So there's technically 6 acre feet stored here, so 2 million gallons. So what's that? 8 million liters or something, 8 million liters or so.
And how much does a gallon of water cost nowadays?
It depends on if you're buying it from Nestle or from Coca-Cola in India, right? I don't know.
Was this a permitted pond when you all built it?
This is permitted when it was built in 78. We weren't here. We moved here in 94. So we have 6 acre feet of vested water rights. 3 acre feet in the 70s and 3 acre feet in the mid 80s. So with the state of California. In California, if you're going to intercept the surface water and you're going to store it for more than 30 days, that's called an appropriative water right. You have to get a water right from the state of California to hold that water back, to put it to beneficial use. Wildlife, potable, irrigation, fire control, whatever that use is, you have to vest it. So yeah, this pond is permitted and has the associated water rights with it.
Also, I think it's pretty high up here. Not a lot of mountains above us. Where is the catchment for this pond?
Yeah, you just look, it's that meadow behind there. And this fence line is the property line. And on the other side of that is a little bit more meadow, you can see. So there's about 3 acres of gently sloping native bunchgrass prairie. And those neighbors just put all of that prairie under permanent conservation easement to never be developed in perpetuity, specifically not to become vineyards, because they wanted to protect the headwaters that fill this pond. Because the neighbors are the ones who were here that built the pond in the 70s.
Oh, wow.
So it's 100% off-stream, first-order upland diffuse surface flow rainwater harvesting.
Does it fill up in dry years all right, or is it not always filled?
It's only never not filled 2-3 years ago. And then we only got to 70%. Otherwise, it fills within the first 12 inches, and this year we're somewhere at about 70. So 3 to 4 times we're 60-inch average here. We're a Mediterranean climate, so a humid climate would say that precipitation exceeds evaporation. Dryland climate, evap exceeds precip, right? Mediterranean, 60-inch precip, 60-inch evap. That's the cool thing about Mediterranean. It dances between. It's both. We're Gary Snyder says of Western Sonoma County, we're where Canada and Mexico meet. So we are literally in the Pacific Northwest rainforest of the old growth redwood in the winter, but we're also the Mediterranean climate. So we're both. This is a very unique, fun climate. Plenty of water. When I hear 4 inches, 9 inches, what you all are doing, and we're like getting 60. We get 100-inch years here. Our worst year was 30, and everybody's complaining. A catastrophic drought is 30. And you guys are pulling off what you're doing with 4 inches, with 9 inches. Like, we should stop whining. Slow it, spread it, sink it, store it, share it.
How hard is a water rate to get now?
Really hard.
I would imagine.
Impossible. There hasn't been a legal pond in the Russian River in a couple decades.
Brock, you're getting 60 inches of rain, and we're in town and we're getting, so far, maybe up to 40. Is it all because of the trees and everything? Is that
The orographic effect, right? It's coming off the ocean, the first ridges, raindrops. We're the second ridge, raindrop. So west of us pulled 70 to 75. We pull 60 on average. Next ridge over is 45s. Drop down to the valley, you're in the 30s to 20s. And then you go back up the Mayacamas, 40, 50, 60, 70 again. East side of rain shadow of Napa, same game. It's the orographic effect. But I don't, as to what Regenda, the red heat, blue heat, green heat, and the green and the biotic pump, the small water cycle is an additional feature, I think, in addition to that. It's very forested out here. It's a lot of vegetation.
And this used to be all rainforest at one point, right?
It was a blend, but there was giant old growth redwoods, firs, oaks, madrone, bay, chaparral, coastal prairie.
So it's very, very moist here.
It was. Yeah. All right, I'm going to turn this thing over to Rajendra, and I don't want to wander around or go on the other side of the pond. However, you would like to.
Now you can see the catchment area of this pond is very rich. No erosion. Both sides are good grasses, forest. If you have the catchment area like this, so your pond is not silting. If you don't have this type of the catchment area, no forest, no grasses, so your pond life is only 4 or 5 years. But because here is no erosion, the all catchment area is very rich, no erosion, so no silting. So pond is sustainable for a long time. So that is the ponding area of this pond, and that is the catchment area of this pond. And there the overflow in that side, and that is called pal. That is the pal. You understand what I am saying yesterday or today morning? The pal is, if you are making like this type of the structure, concave structure. So where you creating the pal, earthen bund. So they stop the water. Water is not going down. Catch here and recharging the all this side, that side. So this water body site selection is very good, very good. The all surroundings is really nice. Okay, any question?
I was curious. So this is just for irrigation, or mainly for like the seal, not for infiltration.
In the classic vernacular permaculture, it's stacking function. The primary function is irrigation, but it's also erosion control, it's wildlife habitat, when we have big fires that need to be put out, the helicopters take buckets out of here, and then there is bass in here. People come fishing.
You say, do you know like how much water you use out of it for irrigation in the season?
Probably less than 2 acre-feet out of the 6. We lose 2 acre-feet to evaporation probably. We use a couple, and we never drain it dry. It's never been shallower than 15 feet. That dock is on ropes, and we'll push that thing out. And the end of the dock by dry season will be about 20 feet shy of where that little house is. The whole thing, it just sinks down to a cone, right? It's just a reservoir. There's no spring input. There's nothing. We just top it off, and then we got it.
Does a Claybank pond have any seepage? Like, there's got to be a little loss to seepage?
I mean, sure, a little.
Yeah.
Ideally, little is the key word, like not much.
Okay.
There's no, if you go to the base of the dam wall, there's no wet, weepy, seepy spots. This thing is not oozing out the bottom.
That's good.
You know, not to get into pond building, but you know, you would come through with you'd come through and do a cross section through your soils to figure out what kind of soils you got: clays, sands, gravels, things, rock, and then the topsoil. To be honest with you, they push that off to the side. There's a basket right there.
Yes.
Right? Fly rock. So you scrape off the topsoil with organic matter, you put that aside, and then you start excavating. And when you find good clay, the pond builders store that, excavate it, you know, and then they're watering it and compacting it, watering and compacting it. We're all clay up here. All the rock up here is benthic mudstones that was on the bottom of the ocean as a mud layer. And we're at the edge of the San Andreas Fault, which is just west of here. The Pacific Plate is just over Bodega Head, the North American Plate. And they subducted. And all of the North American Plate, like the front edge of a bulldozer, got rolled up. It just happens around here. Huh? The plant? No. Oh. He's looking at a little gopher throw. We have little gophers. You guys have gophers in India? A little rodent lives in the ground. And, you know, they're cool. They do amazing things. They perforate the soil. They help for infiltration. But if you plant a garlic bed full of them, they're hell in the garden.
क्या दिखाया आपने?
So it's a little.
अच्छा, okay, okay.
Bad when they perforate your pond too.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, the dam.
Not good on my tree nursery either.
If people want, if you want to walk around, you know, to the spillway, and then if you just go over the little bridge, you could kind of follow the spillway down, and you'll see where the concrete spillway ends. And then, do you know this idea called hungry water? So out of every reservoir that releases, when water is clear and doesn't have sediment in it, they refer to it as hungry water. It wants to grab sediment. It's trying to reaggrade itself. So hungry water often will scour beds and banks. And so below most big dams everywhere, the channels typically are very in size, unless they're bedrock. They're in size, they're down cutting, they're and degrading, entrenching. And that's what's happened here. The channel off the concrete spillway entrenched and cut a new channel and down cut and dumped all the dirt over time to put sediment in the river and impact salmon and spawning gravel. So for those of you who saw the little NBC thing last night, the project that's over here is we limbed and thinned the forest that's overstocked with fire and fuel load, and we're strategically placing that material in that entrenched channel to reaggrade it, compost it organically, raise the water table, and then allow a place for the trees that remain to grow into and restabilize the channel so they're healthier. So the problem of fire becomes a solution for carbon and water and forest health. So you can see that project if you want. I could drive the little cart partway down, but it's pretty self-explanatory. You'll see it's very fresh, lots of logs and things and structures and how we're trying to hold the water and trap the sediment, channel spanning structures, recharge structures. The goal would be to plant it with sedges and rushes and vegetated out, and that'll happen. We literally just installed this in October. So it's a good time to see it because it's super fresh and new. But that's literally just a walk like where they are. They're about to cross the spillway. You pop down there, and then there's a path that literally comes right back up here. So it's just like a little shorty loop.
How often does that spillway?
Yeah, Zach tries to film everything, and then there's never really intention for any of this footage, and so later, you know, because originally he had all the footage for the ranger story and stuff story. There, we got COVID hit, and he was like, the world doesn't need any more documentaries. The world needs action, and so that's kind of where the brainchild of Water Stories came from.
Can you help? You very well explained about the carbon sequestration also while putting these logs.
The treacle size everything for you. And if a 12-incher blows out, you're like, damn, I either need to stake the shit out of that 12-incher next time and put more of them in, or I need to go to a 24 and stake. You know, I mean, things are, the crick, it's called the stream power equation. Look that up, and there's a whole game of physics around volume and size of material that a system requires. So in all the restoration books, the salmon work, what size material you can put in a system is correlated with this idea. The capacity of that system based on volume and slope, velocity and volume. Those are your two equations. And if I got a fire hose of water, it's a big fire hose, or do I have a little fire hose with a little bit of speed? Or you got it. Big fire hose for a little bit. Yeah. Big fire hose for a little bit does a lot of work in a moment. So I do that with forest. So we're going to leave it as a standing snag because we couldn't get out. Here we climbed the tree, cut it off, so it'll be woodpecker habitat sooner.
Okay.
This whole forest, you couldn't have crawled through this on your hands and knees 20 years ago. It was a complete dog-eared thicket, completely overstocked.
Because it looked man done, and I'm like,
person done. There's a whole bunch of, they's done. The whole non-binary doneness.
What is it?
Slope. So there was none up there when I thinned that 20 years ago.
What is it? I've not seen this in time.
Oh.
There's more. Oh, sorry. There's more over there.
That's our medicine.
What is it?
It's called warrior's plume.
And it's a warrior's plume?
And those came in after the thinnings. So
Yeah,
literally that was a chock-a-block dog.
Oh, I see them now. Yeah,
we thinned and limbed and opened it up.
Beautiful. They called me. That's what drew my eye over there.
What if there's any on this side?
Well, I'll tell you another.
Just more of their woodwork. How do you take that motion?
There's literally 1,000. You want to, Ellie? You want to jump up the hill?
And they're getting more sun too.
They're getting every and then the little snake roots here. Yeah. All of these festuca cows, the big grasses are all hand sowed in. That's all collected and hand sowed. All the irises are showing up again.
It feels good here. It's good.
All right, I don't want to get in trouble with Zach and the crew.
Hello.
All right, this train's going.
Yes.
We are
and in those moments when we feel it, it gets to come out. So
Well, I sure would like to convey to whoever I meet that change is possible. Small things and big things add up, small things add up to big things, and we can actually make a big difference.
Very good. I can say just one. The small is only beautiful and only for peace and prosperity and enjoyment in life. The small things is never create a destruction or displacement or disaster. The all big things start with the displacement of all things and destruction and disaster. If you start with a small thing, you can make a big change. Thank you very much.
I feel very inspired about connection. I'm so glad you shared with us the more details about the benefits and everything. And this incredible thing of not judging people as good or bad, that everybody deserves respect and deserves to be connected with, and the power that that has. And so with other humans, but also then seeing the pond and being connected downstream and just in whatever ways I'm inspired to see connection and foster connection. And be part of connection.
Good. You relate the walk today. You can see the ponds and forests and grasses. They are taking and they are giving. They are not depositing in that reserve. They are taking and giving. So in nature, this is a great relation for taking and giving. But the human forgets sometimes. Thank you.
To bring this kind of work to conflict regions. I served as a medic in Iraq, and since then I've really felt moved to do some actual healing in conflict areas. So that's what I'm trying to focus on.
Wow. I don't have any specific thing to add to what I'm already engaged in today. I just feel like I'm really understand the affirmed on the things I wasn't sure of. So
to work with community, but also the different kind of percentages, I guess, of people who have different aspects or roles of power inside communities. A lot of our studio's work is really focused on the idea of livingness in infrastructure. Like, well, how do we involve people to create and then tend to like living systems over time, and really thinking into how to motivate, how to make things more accessible, and also how to work with those the smaller, very motivated percentages, I guess, or groups of people